Today we're going to do a mini review of the Sigma 100 to 400mm f5 to 6.3 DGDN OS. I'll show you samples so you can see what it does, we'll talk about the user experience, and then we'll go over the price versus value. Let's get started. This video isn't being sponsored by Sigma. No money has changed hands, and nobody's telling me what to say. I bought this myself, and this is my actual opinion. First, let's look at the image quality. The sample images you're about to see are all taken with the Panasonic S5 II on standard picture style, and while I have it set to RAW plus JPEG, 90% of the time with this setup I can ignore the RAW files. I've decided to stick to the JPEGs because if it looks this good now, it'll likely be even better with RAW. Some of the photographers that I follow use this lens constantly, and I'm always a little surprised how sharp it is. Their shots turn out clean and have color that always seems to capture the mood perfectly. As you can see from these uncorrected samples, the color is bright and vivid even in standard picture profile. And even on a 24 megapixel sensor, it shows fantastic detail. Time your shots to get some low angle light and you'll find this 100 to 400 renders micro contrast really well. Now, to show the video quality, I'll use some shots from a local dirt bike track. What you're about to see was filmed on the S5 II in continuous autofocus, handheld, by somebody that had very little practice with moving targets. Hopefully you can look past my lack of skill and enjoy what this lens can do. These clips were shot in Vlog and color graded with a basic 709 conversion, then tweaked slightly to change the mood. I'm not into heavy grading, so these are pretty close to what I saw that day. Now, I would love to pretend that I'm a professional shooter that has decades of experience hand-holding action shots, but the truth is that I'm getting back into photography after years of playing World of Warcraft and not owning a camera. The fact that this footage looks as good as it does is because Sigma knows how to make a great lens and Panasonic has incredible in-body image stabilization. This lens does have built-in optical stabilization, but if you're shooting on the Sony E-mount version, you might see some light shake just because from what I've seen, Sony's IBIS is a few stops weaker than Panasonic right now. Not trying to throw shade, just being realistic so that you know what to expect. If you do have more skill than I do, or if you have actual arm muscles, which I don't, then you should get nice smooth video even if it's handheld. Let's talk about the user experience. The Sigma 100 to 400 feels like an odd lens to me in that it is so close to being incredible, but then it stops short and reminds you what it is. In my opinion, this lens has 95% of the quality of an art lens, but art lenses are both bigger and heavier than their contemporary series. When I imagine this 100 to 400 as an art lens, my arms start to cramp up. Optical perfection and having all the best features seem like good ideas until you have to carry them around all day long. And at 1,258 grams, or about 2.77 pounds, it's light enough that you can handhold it without getting tired, but it still feels solid. The optional tripod collar weighs 123 grams, so if you decide not to use it, the weight drops a bit. However, while you can get away with mounting the tripod to the camera, the 100 to 400 is a bit front heavy, so if you're using a smaller style ball head, you might have trouble keeping it locked down due to the lens size and weight. On the left side of the barrel, there's a focus hold button that you can program to a camera setting. There's an autofocus manual focus switch, a 3-setting focus limiter that lets you choose between full focus range, 6 meters to infinity, and minimum focus to 6 meters. The minimum focus distance for the lens ranges between 3.67 to 5.25 feet or 1.12 to 1.6 meters, depending on what focal range you're at. There is a zoom lock, but it only works at 100mm. More expensive pro lenses tend to have features like a tension ring that lets you lock it down at any focal length, but that costs money and adds weight. Finally, there is an option to choose version 1 or 2 of the optical stabilization or turn it off completely. Setting 1 is full optical stabilization and setting 2 allows for panning. The The zoom ring turns counterclockwise to zoom in and clockwise to zoom out, which felt odd to me at first, but I'm getting used to it. This is a push-pull lens, so you can ignore the zoom ring and pull the lens out to zoom in or out if you want to. If you use the lens hood, there is a nicely formed indentation ring to hold onto when you're pushing or pulling. I personally just use the ring because it's closer to my natural hand position. The zoom ring feels smooth, but there is just enough resistance that you feel like you're doing something deliberate, but not so much that you have to wrench the lens to zoom in or out. The switches feel solid, with satisfying clicks and zero rattle or extra movement, but they are audible. 99% of the time it won't matter, but some wildlife might notice if you're close enough, though to be fair, many camera shutters are louder, so it's not a big deal. Now for the final part of this mini review, price versus value. In May of 2023, this lens retails for $949 US, and the optional TS111 tripod collar goes for around $120. If you're into used glass, you can pick up one of these lenses for about $787 to $849 at sites like MPB, KEH, or Adorama.com. Keep an eye out for whether or not the lens you're buying comes with the collar, if it's a used lens. I could have actually saved some money when buying mine, but I didn't notice that one of the options included the collar until it was too late. Save yourself some money and keep an eye out. My final thoughts are that this lens is a good buy at full price and amazing if you can find a good used copy. It has about 95% of the image quality and several of the features of the Pro lenses, but at half the price. Sure, it'd be nice to have the tension zoom lock or a little more speed, but I rarely find myself actually noticing that this isn't the Pro lens when I'm using it. It's exactly what I need with none of the extra weight to carry around. If you want a good, budget-friendly semi-pro lens with amazing clarity and color that has just enough reach to get you into the action without slowing you down, try the Sigma 100 to 400mm f5 to 6.3 DGDN OS. You'll be pleasantly surprised every time you use it. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful and want others to see it, please click the like button so the algorithm knows how amazing I am. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll answer everything I can. And if you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.